let's work on closing.
Yeah, take it away.
So, okay, and I'm running 2 screens, so I just put our faces way over here, so I'm going to move us back. So I'll give us just a quick minute. You can see my slide, right?
Hey, Shannon, fix your presentation view.
Oh, perfect. Hold on.
Can't wait to hear it today, Shannon. You're going to kill it.
Okay, why is
So
it
excited for this.
Yay. Let's try this. Better? Still not.
Shannon, click on your display settings, like once you share the screen, and you can just swap it so you get the full screen. You can just reshare there, like you did.
Better?
I don't think it's shared right now. So.
Okay.
Oh, great. Perfect. Yeah.
Should be. So, yeah, I love 2 screens, but I'm like, wow, I got too much stuff going on. So we're going to dive right in. So yes, Shannon Smith, some of you have sat through my breakouts before, but I really felt led to do this topic just because all of us, even if we don't struggle with this, we know people that do. It could be teammates, or maybe I've even seen the reverse where people get so good at closing that they're closing when they shouldn't be. I actually just had a client that wanted to give me more money to invest. And after asking some qualifying questions, it wasn't the right thing. He should invest less with me because he needed some of that money pretty near term. So anyway, we're gonna keep going. I'm gonna see if there we go. So let's talk first. When you are focused on closing, this is about guiding. I really like that word. Clients are reflective on us. So as an example, if you are timid and hesitant, if you're nervous, and that's legit, we all started there, right? The clients are going to feel that and they're going to respond. So my goal is that you guys ultimately gain the confidence because, and you'll see this in my slides multiple times, when you're confident, they're confident, okay? Also, I find, how many of you have ever, like, you do the F&A, you're moving through all the suggestions, but then at the end you're like, where do I go from here? I literally remember training somebody, this was like 20 years ago, and I said, when you're done, like, you need to know how you're moving to closing. And I said, you know, we had talked before, I said, whatever you do, don't say, what do you think? And sure enough, and I had said other stuff, but he ended and it was like, I don't know where to go. What do you think? That's not a close. That's so open-ended that they're probably going to say, though, this is really good. You gave us some things to think about. How many of you have ever heard that one, right? That's not your goal. Your goal is to move them to action. Also, closing, this is about service. Because like I said, if the client knows they need to get out of debt, knows they need to invest, knows all these things, but they don't move forward, then you haven't really helped them. And that's what we're here to do. Education. Many of us love to educate our clients. There's a whole nother slide on this. Education is part of the process. It will boost your confidence. It will boost the client's confidence and be more likely to move forward. How many of us have ever seen a pushy salesperson? I actually will go like to buy a car and I look at the people selling and I go, wow, I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be like that. Wow, I really valued their education, their input, and they still moved me maybe forward, but it wasn't pushy. Your presence matters. Now, some of you guys meet in person, some of you guys meet via Zoom. I actually think in person is easier, but I'll be honest, I live in an area with awful traffic. And I do a lot of meetings via virtual Zoom. And so how you connect to your audience is also important. Like right now, you guys, your pictures are over on this slide, this screen, and I'm trying to maintain eye contact with my camera because your clients need to think or see that you're looking at them, not just their picture. And how many of us, their picture ends up down here on the screen and you're not connected. That also helps with closing. In person, you need to not just attend to the person who's most excited to be there. How many of us have ever met with a couple? One of them is engaged, the other is hesitant, maybe arms folded. You need to devote 80% of your conversation to the reserved, hesitant person in order to be successful. The other one's already on board. You've already closed them, so to speak, right? You need to be professional yet approachable. And I'm going to stereotype some today. Bear with me. Don't take it personal. But I see sometimes guys, they can be very professional. Maybe they need to be a little more approachable. And we women, not as much me, okay, but can be really warm and soft and sweet. You need to sometimes call it like you see it and be direct. I actually used words with my client and I said, I hope you don't mind, but I'm a really straight shooter. And oftentimes they go, no, I appreciate that. When they say that, it allows me to be direct. And again, that helps move them to action. So be relationship driven, not product driven. We're going to come back to this. Speaking with future forward language. As I'm meeting with a client, I will often say something like, man, over the years, this is going to get fun. We're going to get you debt free, or I'm going to help you guys retire. It's not today, it's not tomorrow, but this is what we're working toward. Or I'll say, man, the other day I was working with a client. They've been my clients for 5 years or 10 years. This is selling the long-term relationship and not transaction. Bottom on this slide, your confidence transfers to their confidence. Like I said, you're going to see this many times. Oh, let me also add a caveat. I know PowerPoints should have like 3 to 4 bullets, only a matter of a few words. I actually designed this one, and wait till you're going to see some slides with a lot of words on it. And the reason is, I know that many times you guys say, hey, will you upload this presentation? I actually have some scripts, actual verbiage I use, and it's embedded in the presentation. So just know, I know the do's and don'ts of PowerPoint on that, but I think you'll benefit. Okay, this is not personality training, but this is important when closing. There are colors, there are animals, there's Myers-Briggs, there's a million different versions of personality training. You are going to get a 2-minute STAR personality summary, but this helps when closing. So with STAR, you have S, T, A, and R personalities. S are stability. These people, again, they're your punctual, organized, detailed, etc. First of all, if you're working with an S and you're meeting in person, your paperwork better be organized, neat, paper clipped. If they give it to you a certain way, you need to return it that way or better, like neat. It's so important to them. Whether it's important to you doesn't matter. It's important to them. T, theory or technical people. These are my Boeing engineers. These are the analytical, logical. They want facts, numbers, charts, graphs. Okay. We're going to talk about that because guess what? If you're a T, you think all your clients need that to move forward, and they don't. The ones that are T may need a little bit more, but you need to meet them where they are. A is action. These love power, excitement, retirement. You drive up and they probably have a boat and ski-doos and motorcycles, and like they love big and fun. And R, relational. These are your caring, make a difference, family-oriented. You will know when you're with an R, if you go to greet them and they give you a 2-handed handshake, that means they're probably an R. Now, why did I just hit these highlights? My goal is that as we go through some of the verbiage today, I want you to staritize it. Let me give you an example. Pretend I'm going to go through the F&A. Mr. and Mrs. Family, I'm going to create a structured, detailed, step-by-step financial roadmap that's going to take you from where you are today to where you want to end up, and I will walk you through that process. Mr. and Mrs. Clients, you've given me the data that I can now analyze so that I can build a comprehensive game plan that offers you the statistics and the numbers. We're going to give you your financial independence number. And after that calculation, I'll be able to get you implemented so that you can hit those goals. Oh my gosh, Mr. and Mrs. Family, you've given me some great goals. Like you want to retire, you want to travel, you want this great quality of life. Don't worry, we're going to keep this quick and easy, but I'm going to build you a plan to do this, and we're going to keep it quick, to the point, and get you to your goals. Mr. and Mrs. Family, you guys have great goals. It sounds like it's important that you're there for your family, that you provide that foundation, that you're not a burden. And these matter to you and they matter to me. And so we're going to work together. This is a relationship, not just a transaction. Let me help get you to your goals. Now, I like teaching in person, guys. I love feedback, but hopefully I just gave you a twist of how you can take things you do, staritize it, and speak your client's language. Okay, and again, that did not do its service, but this isn't star training today. Okay, now why do clients stall? Why do they hesitate? Sometimes they're afraid of making the wrong choice. Have you ever met somebody that maybe grandpa lost all his money in the stock market? And so now they are nervous because they're more afraid of making the wrong choice than making a good choice, right? You've got to help walk them through that. Sometimes they're overwhelmed. And I'll be honest, RF&A covers a lot of stuff. If your client is just retired and we're just talking investments, it's actually kind of a piece of cake. But let's say you're dealing with a 30-some couple. We're trying to make sure they're protected. We're giving them a debt solution, and we're trying to start Roths and college funds and rollovers, and the list gets long, and that overwhelmed feeling will cause them to hesitate. So your job is to keep it organized so that they move forward. Decision fatigue, sometimes if you give them 89 decisions to make, they stop making them. So keep it focused, give them the right decisions at the right time. And then, like I said, clients want you to lead them, not push them, not pressure, but lead them. And if you become a good leader to that household, they will be lifelong clients. There's a phrase that I also like to use. I included it here. You should trust your advisor. Don't get me wrong, you should trust them, but it should never be blind trust. It should be educated trust. And my job is to help clients become educated so they can trust wisely. I think that also will move clients forward, because if there's no trust with you, it doesn't matter how much you educate. That's where the confidence also comes in. Okay, here are some actual phrases that I often use, maybe not all of them. You're going to find which ones work for you. How do you lead them on? Sometimes you've gone through all this great stuff, the F&A. You can literally use a transition point of saying, can I make a recommendation? I think it's important we get started with the foundation. And maybe, again, some of us, I'm heavy investments. I do more investments than I do the others, but I still do life and debt solutions, you name it. But can I make a recommendation is a transition. Let me walk you through the process. So this is what's going to happen. And let's say it's a rollover. I'm going to literally tell them what that's going to look like. Here's what a lot of my clients choose to do from here. If you tell them what other people do, it's almost a herd mentality that they're going to go along with it because it's what others do. They feel comfortable moving forward. This phrase, I think I heard this on MPI at one point, but let's be honest. You don't need another product. You need a strategy. Or most families don't need more investment options. They need a strategy to tie it together. And that's what I've built for you. And by tying it down with what you've done for them, it's also gaining your confidence. We're going to build on what you already have in place. If you get an S-type personality, they don't like change. If you say we're going to build on what you have in place, it sounds like you're not changing everything. You're enhancing. I love the word enhance. I often will tell families, no, let's enhance on what you're already doing. Take it to the next level. And here's how we move forward from here. Again, there's a lot of different dialogue. So assumptive closing or assumptive language. I don't always ask my client, do you want to open a Roth IRA? Do you want to roll this over? I see Bonnie going like this. She's over here. But you don't ask them because the reason you assume, guys, that's not pushy. You're assuming they're a smart person that would make a logical decision to move forward with a good decision. That is normal. That's healthy. So I'll say, once we get this IRA created, I'll initiate the transfer or I'll walk you through that process. Number two, Fidelity. I actually love when my clients have Fidelity 401ks. And here's why. I think it was 2 days ago, we called Fidelity. And I know in my other talk, I talked about this maybe a little bit, but I'm going to do it again just because it's so valuable. So if my client has a 401k Fidelity account, I know I need to call. Sometimes the statements don't say pre-tax or Roth. But when you call, Fidelity will normally issue a rollover check verbally with the client on the line. So when I call and I tell my client, this is what we're going to do, Mr. Client, we're going to call Fidelity. I'm going to try to get us to a live person, and I'm going to let them know that there are 3 of us on the line and that I know that they need to verify your identity and get permission to speak with all of us on the phone. I did that the other day, and the rep was like, oh, like he could tell I knew what I was doing. It shows it's not your first rodeo. Well, then we're going through, we verified some info, and before the rep could say it, I said, oh, by the way, I already emailed the client the tax notice because Fidelity has a special tax notice. They ask if the client's seen it. And if they haven't, they will spend 5 minutes emailing it to the client. The client needs to log in saying they've seen it. I email it to my client because I know they're going to ask for it. This guy on Fidelity, he was literally like, wow, I don't think I've ever had anyone do that. But it was like this impressed thing. The credibility I just built with my clients, guys, because I know the process, right? The third one, we'll simplify or clean up or consolidate. It depends what we're doing, right? If we're consolidating multiple accounts, I use that word, but these mutual funds into a managed account. I'm going to do the sports analogy team really quick because it's going to come up on another slide as well. Mr. and Mrs. Family, right now you have mutual funds and they are fantastic and they have done a great job getting you to where you are. Now, are you guys sports fans? And they'll say yes or no. I'm going to just do this really quick. Pretend it's Seahawks. I'm a Seattle, Washington. Okay. I'm like, hey, you have the Seahawks right now and they're a great team. But let me ask you this. Do you think that the Seahawks have the best wide receiver, the best tight end, the best quarterback, the best kicker? They probably have 1 or 2, but probably not all of them. When I help my clients with a managed account, think of it like us building you an all-star team. We can actually go and pick the best quarterback and the best kicker and the best wide receiver. I even had a client and she goes, this is like me building my fantasy football team. And I go, exactly. And think of me like the general manager. So I'm not the coach on the field, but I'm hiring the best coaches, the best physical therapists. Now, again, you guys are going to hear this from me many times, but the reason is my clients end up saying, can I have the all-star team? They've already sold themselves. I didn't have to close them. My education through an analogy moved them forward. How many of you want more packs? Pre-authorized checking, okay? The way you get more packs is you say something like, let's automate this. So you don't even have to worry about it or think about it. And clients are like, oh, great. And this isn't an overcoming objection class, but closing and overcoming objections go hand in hand. And so you will see some of those covered today. Alternative choice, again, how many words can I fit on a page, right? Generally speaking, my goal, as I'm spilling water all over myself, okay, alternative choice, generally you don't want to use yes, no questions, although sometimes I do intentionally. Oftentimes you want to give them 2 choices that you don't care what the answer is. Let me use a non-Primerica example. You're hungry, it's dinner time, and you want to go out to eat. Do you ask your husband or wife, hey, do you want to go out to eat, or what do you want for dinner? The worst question ever, right? No, instead you say, hey, do you want Chinese or Mexican? Or do you want, because I'm happy with both of those since I'm the one that suggested it. I don't care which they choose because both are good options. So when booking appointments, the way you close appointments is you don't say, when do you want to meet? You say, would Wednesday or Friday work best? Or 2 o'clock or 4 o'clock. With retirement accounts, would you prefer to fully fund your Roth IRA? By the way, in 2026, if you're below age 50, that would be $625 a month. Now, some people have an extra $625 lying around. Others, maybe not so much. They might need to start at $100 or somewhere in between. Which do you prefer, or what's doable in your budget? So you're giving them an alternative choice and not making them feel bad, regardless of the decision. By the way, just because some of our mutual funds, you can do 25 a month, doesn't mean I start by saying we can do 25 a month. I will say 100, and if they need lower, they'll usually say, could I do 50? And then I'll say, yes, we can get it started with that. And then do Pack Plus, that's another conversation. So a lot of my clients have mortgages. They're still paying on their house. That's usually due the first of the month. Why would setting up your retirement middle of the month work well for you? And they're going to say yes, right? And you say, great, does the 15th or 20th work best? Would you guys like to save for a college fund for your kids or a multi-purpose fund? And that's a 529 or a UTMA and stuff. So you're starting to see this alternative choice is guiding your clients, and they're more likely to move forward with you because the choice was focused. Okay, this dates back to Tom Hopkins. What's funny is some of these guys are sales strategies. Be careful. Don't use them all, and don't use them when you don't need to. Feel, felt, found. I think there's a time and a place. Do not use it if you didn't feel that way, but here's how it works. Let's say your client goes, oh man, I really want to pay off my mortgage. How many of us, I tell my clients, hey, I am all for debt freedom. I am in no way, shape, or form saying don't become debt free. Mr. and Mrs. Client, I think you said that your mortgage is at 2.75 interest, right? That's really low, and they're going to agree, and you're going to see head nods, right? And so that's where I might say, you know what? I understand how you feel. In fact, I felt the same way because I'm pro debt freedom. What I found is that my investments accounts were honestly averaging 6, 7, 8, even higher than that. And to pay down a 2.75 wasn't getting my money working as hard. So feel, felt, found, it can be for paying off mortgage. It could be for rolling things over. It could be the type of investments. What if they're scared of the market? Were you ever scared of the market? And if you were, incorporate, ask yourself, how would I word feel, felt, found if my client had an objection? This is important too. At the bottom, I think I put on this slide, this is not a close. This is a transition to a close. It is the way that I like to describe this, in fact, this was in our orientation years ago. If you picture a half kind of circle, and I were to ask you, is this concave or convex? The answer is it depends which side you're on, which side you're looking at. Concave is this way, convex is this way. Your client is looking at the same situation as you, but they're on the other side. So instead of butting heads with them, my goal is I understand how you feel. I felt the same way, puts me on their side. And then what I found, and I start educating them to bring them back to my side. That gets movement. Okay, I am pro education. I find that if you educate your clients, they will close themselves many, many times. Anytime you can borrow statements, this is a game changer. I say it, they doubt it, they say it, it's true, right? So their paperwork I use against them. That sounds kind of funny, right? But this allows you to summarize what they have. You are looking for pain points. You are looking for, and I literally wrote them all down, some of them down. High fees, hidden fees, no service, if all they get is a 1-800 number, tax drag. If they have non-qualified assets, you can go to Morningstar, look those up, and it will tell you what the tax drag is on that account. That is an amazing selling tool to get them to understand why they need to be in an SMA, a managed account, etc. Inappropriate allocation. I've seen young clients that took advice from somebody at work who was 20, 30, 40 years older than them, and they are in the wrong portfolio. Or I literally just met a husband and wife. They were in the same Vanguard 2050 fund, right? A lot of times in target funds, and they don't understand what that means and that they could potentially do better. So when I go through that education, this is what I do. You embed a lot of their information into the F&A. You go through the F&A and it sells them on their FIN number, starting investments. But guys, we talk about a lot. So a lot of times what I do is I just simply take a Word doc. I create some summary notes for me that they are then looking at with me. And it talks about action steps so that they can see very clearly. Your S's love this, by the way. Your T's want the knowledge. Your S's want a system. It's an implementation card, basically. And if they're in the wrong funds, I just had an 80-year-old that was in a fund that in the last 10 years has had a negative 2% return. Guys, last 10 years, negative 2%. We even created a little bit of a taxable event moving it, but I said, I don't have to move this. We can leave it exactly where it is. Guys, that's important what you heard me say. We can leave it exactly where it is. I'm just concerned that your money is going backwards. Does that concern you? And she's like, yeah. I go, would it make sense to take a little tax hit to move it into something more tax efficient and that's going to keep up with taxes and inflation long term? She's like, absolutely. And boom, we moved forward. So when clients understand what they have, the best next step becomes natural. Be careful not to sell on returns. You think closing is easier when you show them this fund's done 15% or 17%. I put this in the bottom because if you sell on returns, you will lose assets because of returns. They will learn to chase the hot dot and they will move away from you at some point. This is about, again, not a product, but a strategy. Okay, rollover. This is one of my favorites. So when people have an old 401k, I actually love to say, Mr. and Mrs. Family, or I'll just say I'm talking to the husband, Mr. Client, isn't it ironic? You left your company 4 years ago. I'm sure you grabbed your belongings, your coffee mug. Maybe you had a plant or a picture frame. You grabbed everything, except you left your money. And I chuckle and smile. You don't want to sound confrontational. This is meant to be humorous, right? Isn't it funny? We take everything, we leave our most important, valuable asset, and that's our retirement plan. And then I explained that the IRS lets you do a rollover, which means we can move that out of your old 401k and you have more options, more control, more clarity. And my clients are usually head nodding at this point. Head nods are a great indication they're on board, right? I love to close with, don't worry, I'll help with that. Don't worry, I'm not going to make you do all the work. I'll do the heavy lifting. Don't worry is actually kind of a fun phrase if it's delivered right. That makes me think of something. Years ago, my mom was on my team. Yes, back when we recruit, all of that. My mom was on my team. She would try to deliver my humor, and man, it didn't work. Bless her heart, but you've got to know how you present things. I think humor lightens the mood and will move clients forward. But if you are struggling with it, role play with somebody in your office, find another advisor or your RVP and say, hey, how does this sound? And work through it because you'll have more success. And then again, that assumptive close, the more you can just move clients through, that is not, again, pushy. Okay, how many of us have ever run into a DIYer? The people that want that they're going to pick their own stocks or low cost. I actually look at them and I go, hey, if you're a DIYer, that's okay. You just need to have 3 things to be successful at it: time, interest, and expertise. I did this so that you remember TIE, time, interest, and expertise. Some people have 1, maybe 2, but typically not all 3. And that's where we partner together. Now, if they look at you and they go, I have the time, I have the interest and the expertise, guys, do not close them. Not everyone is meant to be your client. And that is okay. If they're a DIYer, truly a DIYer, and they want to do it and want the outcome, because some do it successfully, some don't, right? That's on them. They may come full circle. I had a DIYer who still worked with me. He gave me about $400,000 at first. I knew he had a couple million. Over the years, I got another million and another million. I'm up to 5 million because now they have 10, right? He still has some of his do it yourself, but he's seen the value that I bring to the table. But don't convince. You are worth it. You are valuable. And if they don't see that, they don't deserve to be your clients. That may sound harsh. That's just me. Okay. Transitioning mutual funds to managed accounts. This is not a training solely for that purpose. Okay. So I could go through a lot of the benefits. You guys know some of them. SMAs are very tax efficient. They're going to have more transparency. A lot of clients love to see what they actually own. In a mutual fund, you might get your top 10 holdings, but most people aren't going to drill down to really get the inner workings. Managed accounts, you get automatic rebalancing depending on how we structure that portfolio. And I actually think the last one, the behavior coaching, is such an important part. You can look at your client and with confidence say, I am here to help build the best portfolio for you, for your goals. But my job is to help us put emotion to the side. Emotion's important. Think of emotion as a passenger in a car. Emotion is a great side seat driver, but not the main driver. If you let emotion be the main driver of your portfolio, we're going to crash. We don't want to do that. So let me be the driver with you. We'll put emotion in the car and we'll get you to your goals. The other closing one for me for managed accounts, you guys understand when we do direct mutual funds, they're typically going to have an A share. There's expenses. There are ways to kind of educate clients with that. But with managed, I love saying, Mr. and Mrs. Family, this is one of the best parts when we build you this all-star team is in managed, there's no cost going in, there's no cost going out, and there's no cost if we move money around inside of it. The cost is simply a percentage of the assets while they're invested. So it becomes a very cost-effective strategy. And you look them straight in the eye, and by doing that, they understand a little better. And then again, through the proposal, you can go through more, but let's get you out of the mutual fund locker room and let's start building your all-star team or your fantasy team, fantasy football team. So, okay. You're like, wait a minute, this is MPI, again, talking investments. I love throwing in some different products and different strategies. How many of you have ever met someone who wants to buy a house? Okay, if they don't already own it, a lot of people want. These numbers, you need to know your area. These are actually low numbers for Washington State, okay? Starter home, like 2-bedroom, 1-bath is literally like $500,000 around our area. So, but let's just use rent. If they're paying rent of $2,000 right now, I ask the family, how much would you pay for a house right now? And they'll tell me whatever number. I just had somebody say $500,000. I said, do you know what your house payment would probably be? And they said, probably $2,800. I said, if we're serious about this, it's not just a pipe dream for the future, but we're serious. This is what we're going to do. We are going to open up an account and we are going to save that $800 difference every single month. If it's long-term, I put the little disclaimers at the bottom. If it's short-term, if they're going to buy a house this year, next year, guys, use a high-yield savings, use the bank. Do not invest it too short-term because of market volatility. But I've got young couples. We just were talking to a 23-year-old. They're saving, they've got a starter portfolio, but they know it's going to be a few years before he's making enough to qualify them. We're taking that $800 and investing it every single month. And I explained to him, here's where rubber meets the road. The money goes in, we can't just pull it back out. Because if it was a mortgage payment, you can't go to your lender and say, hey, can I get $400 back out of what I paid you? That's not an option. This is what it does, though. It proves affordability. Mr. and Mrs. Client, how confident will you feel when we get you into that house and you've already been making the same kind of payment? And they go, that is so smart. And I actually set up a lot of midterm investment accounts because our goal is to take their savings. They have their normal savings at the bank, but if they've been saving for a house, we want to get it to $25,000. We invest it and add a pack to set them up for a midterm non-qualified investment. Managed is perfect for flexibility as long as you have a long enough time frame. You've got to know your market, guys. You got to know your area. Don't invest unwisely if it is too short of a goal, okay? But you'll get more assets with this and you will close more clients because they're on board with the strategy. Midterm account. This is what we were just talking about. Midterm accounts, I think you will close a lot of those, not just for buying a house, but this next goal. I've taught my few advisors, I say, you talk to the client and you say, Mr. and Mrs. Family, here you are at 32 years old or whatever. You have money at the bank. You have money in retirement. But wouldn't you agree there's a lot of life between age 32 and 59 and a half? And my team knows you do the hand gestures. It's visual. Bank, retirement, you know their age and 59 and a half. There's a lot of life. So many advisors, so many people, they think about short term, they think about long term, and they miss this midterm asset. So this is, again, not meant for short term cash. It's not meant for long term retirement. But think of all the things in your life. This could be, let's say you bought the house. This could be a roof repair. This could be your next vehicle. This would be wedding for your kids. There's so many realistic expenses that are going to come up. I am protecting my clients' retirement assets by creating these accounts. And again, the more you educate clients on this, they often are like, hey, when can we get that account set up? Because the education moves them to action. Okay, this is what I call the financial calculator close. And I love it because Eldon's on today and I think he's I grew up with an HP 10B2 calculator. We did complex calculations for Saturday morning training, but guess what calculator this is? This is POL Turbo Apps. And the reason that I use this is I want it to be simple. So I would be in front of the client or on a Zoom, and I would say, Mr. and Mrs. Family, and in this case, I'm using a 30-year-old saving $100 a month. Now, you heard me use the word saving. I'm doing this on purpose. Mr. and Mrs. Family, let's say you're 30 years old, and we're setting aside $100 a month, and we just tuck it at the bank. Banks on average aren't even necessarily 1%. Again, I'm not talking high yield savings, right? But at 1% by Social Security retirement age, that's going to grow to $53,000. I show them this first because that's not that exciting of a number, right? But Mr. and Mrs. Family, my job is to help you invest it properly. And a lot of investments have averaged 9%, not over 5 years or 10 years, but over 20, 30, 40 years. The same $100 properly invested would grow to $357,000. I don't know about you, but every 300 grand at retirement makes a difference, right? And they are doing, again, what I see some of you head nods, right? This, I've actually taught, if you are in a younger market, and some of you may be managed license, some of you aren't, you will do more PACs and more Roth IRAs doing this simple, very easy calculation, but they need to see it visually. I also say, Mr. and Mrs. Family, that's at $100 a month. And I know that might be what's in your budget right now, but let me show you. For 2026, if you max out a Roth, that would be $625 a month. I get it. We may not have it yet. But if you were fully funding a Roth IRA from now until Social Security retirement age, do you realize that that would grow to 2.2 million? 2.2 million. And you guys, please add some energy here. I think that's such a big part. I've had people at 9%, if you start at 37, investing $625 a month, you would have $2.2 million. You will get that kind of response from your client if that's how you deliver it. So please act like you like this. This is a game changer. And look at the bottom, I put, now let me show what maxing your Roth would do. You can see why we want to get you there. Even if not today, this is what we're working for. And when you do that, you just cemented a lifelong client relationship and you set them up at 100 and you put them in CRM and you revisit. And you stay in front of them and you do PAC Plus and all these other great things. But this is what I call the financial calculator close. Okay, this is the good news close. I'm watching the clock. Good news. Good news. Now we're going to. So some examples, good news, you've already started investing. Now we're just going to level it up. Good news, you didn't cash out your old 401k. Great job. Now we're going to move it to where you actually have more control. Good news, you're already paying extra on debt, but now we're going to create a debt freedom strategy. Guys, it was so funny because I was going through this with somebody and they're like, you're basically telling them good job, and then you're telling them, hey, you haven't done this right. We're going to now do it right. Yes, but I didn't say it like that, right? Good news, now we're going to, is a closing strategy. Good news, you have savings. Now we're just going to get it working harder for you. So this is my good news close. Okay, ready for some language, right? How many more words can I get on a page? So closing is, there's two parts to it. First, how many of you would like to get better at getting a monthly commitment and then an actual commitment? Because those are two different things. So this is what I do. You don't have to do it. Do whatever your RVP says is the best strategy and stuff like that, right? But if I'm trying to get a monthly commitment, this is what I say. My team knows this is what I say. Mr. and Mrs. Family, you guys have a lot of great goals. I know the priorities right now, we're focused on getting out of debt. We want to make sure we've got some protection in place. We don't really have our wills yet. And oh, wow, we want to do Roths and retirement, and we've got rollovers and whatever it is. You recap it back to them and you say, let me ask you this. How much money could you set aside each pay period without scrimping and saving and having a pathetic life, right? But that you could earmark toward your goals. Now, you laugh at me when I say without scrimping, saving, and having a pathetic life. My team can say that verbatim. They know it because it's this lighthearted way. Some advisors, and not Primerica as much, but some advisors, all they want is all your money. And I still believe in quality of life, but let's be honest, most clients are great at funding their quality of life and suck at funding their future, right? So this is where I'll do it again. You guys have a lot of great goals, blah, blah, blah. How much could you set aside? And you might say every month, but this is also where I think it's great. If I was working with John and Mary and they both work outside the home, I'd say, John, Mary, how much could each of you set aside per paycheck to go toward your goals without scrimping and saving and having a pathetic life, right? Suddenly, John's telling me 150 a check. The wife might be like, oh, I think I could do 200. They will sometimes compete over who can give me the best. Now, I know on my last talk, I said, if people give you a range, guys, if they even say 200 a check for the wife and 200 a check, that means you just got an $800 a month commitment, probably if they're biweekly, right? I probably wouldn't use all 800 because I don't want them to work with me and suddenly feel like, oh my gosh, we don't have a life, even though they said I was clear, right? And so by doing that, you're able to get those commitments and get them moving, and it's easier to come back and increase it over time. Now, if they only give you as a family $150 a month, you bet I'm using 150. I need all 150 and more to try to set up a plan. We're not even going there, but tax refund time is coming up. Don't forget, you can use tax refunds, reallocate their withholding through work and get a normal monthly. Okay. Then that's the monthly. By the way, it's also great to say now, will this be in cash flow next week when we get together? Because guess what month it is? Yeah, Christmas. It's December. You may get a monthly commitment and they are fine committing in January, but not December because they've already spent all their paychecks. So don't get, surprised by that. Clarify. Then this is my close. I usually at the end go, Mr. and Mrs. Family, my commitment to you, I am looking at all of these great goals you just gave me. I'm going to develop the best plan possible, looking at your short-term and long-term goals to help get you on track. That is my commitment. Your commitment is twofold. Education, step one. If you don't do anything about it, you're no closer to your goals. So if this makes sense, then that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to help you. And second, if you feel that this process is valuable, introduce me. Because you and I both know, other people that would love these kinds of strategies and solutions, or would love this kind of
Perfetto.
service.
Ah, bueno, me alegro.
Would love this kind of service, right? All I ask is when the opportunity presents itself, introduce me. No arm twisting. I don't want to meet with people that don't want to meet with me, right? But when you do this, I call it the my commitment and then your commitment, right? Twofold. I think you'll have better clarity because you are very clear with your intentions. And that's going to, again, help move to action. So here's another accountability question. I only have a couple more slides, guys. So I sometimes think it's kind of cool to ask somebody, hey, could I ask you a question? Yes, you actually say, can I ask you a question? If we don't take a step today, even a small one, what are the odds we'll be in the same place next year? This is a fantastic one if people are putting you off for booking an appointment. Because if they're putting you off, what are the odds they're going to be sitting in the same place next year? So you're doing it nicely. You got permission. You asked, can I ask you a question? And sometimes they'll still put you off. Jeannie brought it up earlier. She said, hey, if they put you off in December, do not be discouraged. Get them on the books for January. Get them on the books. Okay, this is the action challenge. If you guys have sat through any of my training, my goal is that you take some tangible takeaways. Pick one or two techniques from today and incorporate them in your next 3 appointments. If you don't do it right away, you'll forget, right? Confidence grows through experience. You've got to be in front of more people to get good and comfortable. There are so many great people on MPI, and they do this without thinking at this point because they've done it a lot. And your confidence grows as yours grows. That will move them. That will move their confidence, and they will take more action with you. You will build lifelong client relationships. So, okay, how'd I do? 9:51. I think we're good. I'm going to stop sharing. Move your little faces back up in front of me.
Shannon, that was amazing.
Okay, it was fun. Do you guys have fun when you do appointments? I hope you do.
Great enthusiasm, Shannon. I love it.
Okay, do we have any questions?
Shannon, I want you to be my advisor.
The chat is blowing up, Shannon. Everybody loved it. I mean, that really was just so good, so good. I'm screenshotting everything, but if you have a question, guys, if you want to raise your hand, I know Teo has her hand up.
Thank you, ladies. Great training. Thank you, Shannon, so much. I do have a quick question on the short term where, you would advise either, high yield savings or money market. What would be the difference? Would you gear them towards one or the other? Or is it more of a preference for them because of the, obviously one being an investment and the other one,
Right. I would honestly say some of them are already good savers at their banks. And at that point, if it's just a short term, I don't automatically set up a money market for all my clients. If they struggle at all with savings, that is our job as an advisor to assist. And you would open a money market then for them.
Sure. Thank you so much.
Joan has her hand up.
Joan.
Hello. Yes. What if you don't have any clients? Like you say, you talk to your clients and you're new at this. Where would you suggest meeting people or?
Oh my gosh, that's a prospecting market development class. I'm happy to put on one of those too. It's where you go. I will be honest. You just have to go suck it up at first and be in front of people. And I often taught my team, I'm like, at first, you'll be in an environment where you could meet people. You will get home and you still won't even thought that you missed an opportunity. That's step 1. Step 2, you go someplace, you get home and realize, oh, I missed an opportunity. Step 3, you go someplace, you realize it and you don't do anything, and then you get home and feel guilty. Step 4, you go someplace, you open your mouth, you slobber all over yourself. You're like, what in the world came out? And then finally you get to a place where you do it and you feel good and you have success. You gotta be willing to be bad to get good.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Shannon, we probably have 15 seconds. What do you like for a midterm account in managed?
Oh my gosh. As long as it's long enough, I actually love Genter because it has less volatility and the dividends come in to play when markets are down. Again, I haven't done as many tech breakouts of like what I believe and why, but those are really good questions.
Awesome. Awesome. Thank you for the class today, Shannon. It was fantastic.
Yay.
So
Thank you
good,
all for
Shannon.
coming.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Very, very
Thank you,
good.
Shannon. Awesome.
So
Thank
good,
you.
Shannon. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thanks,
You're a rock
Shannon.
star, my friend. That was amazing.
Concerns
Big transfer.
as we go forward. So you guys, what do you think? You agree?
Yeah, I do. I agree.
Yeah,
Great job,
I do.
guys. Thanks
I do
for
too.
thanks for investing today. Appreciate it.
Yeah, guys. Go ahead, Eldon. You wanna come in? I don't know. Yeah, no, it's safe. We did everything else earlier.
The water's warm.
All I know is, man, I really depend on a lot of people, and I really appreciate all the help in the background, and I want to apologize for everyone for the chaos. You've seen me pop in and out of this room as I made other people co-host, and so there is some craziness goes on once in a while, but the value that people are getting, you're not going to get this kind of training anywhere else in Primerica, so I appreciate that. I imagine you had a lot of Q&A stuff, and maybe you want to just highlight, as we bring in the different speakers, highlight a little bit of some of the highlights of the Q&A question that you guys had in the main forum here. Well, I'll jump in and just say that if you notice Kurt's in here, I really felt like Mark wasn't on his game today. So I brought Kurt in, and Kurt really did a great job. We ran the gamut, dude. We had questions about all kinds of different things, but it was a lot of fun. Well, that was Mark, good. I know you could see Mark wants to say something. Just get it out.
Oh, good.
You know, Mark, it's not healthy to keep things in. You just got to let it out. Right.
Good.
Kurt, maybe I'll get the recap from you. I know I'll get a more straightforward answer, maybe.
No, it's their room. They just needed somebody to look incompetent, so they put me in the room, and I did a great job of that. So they just did a great job.
We ran the gamut.
Yeah,
We talked about AI. We talked about rolling over, doing in-service distributions, Roth convert. We covered the full gamut today. There was